8,000 people showing up after a tough loss a week ago. So, you know, I can't speak for everybody, but what drives me and drives a lot of our players and our coaching staff is not wanting to let Buckeye Nation down. So, from our heart, thank you for your support again. And you know, it was a beautiful day in Horseshoe against a good football team. A team that you know, just had a nice talk with our players. You know, my father was in the Army, my sister was in the Air Force, spent many times against Air Force Academy, played Navy several times, never been to Annapolis yet, I will. And then I took my son to West Point, and we stayed in General Blake's house. They were great, you know, gracious, took us to the firing range and just saw some of the coolest things I've ever seen. And it's been a bucket list of mine to go do that. It's easy to, you know, to put your head on the pillow at night knowing that men and women that represent our country, it's awesome. And so that was a great experience to play them. It was a pain in the rear end. Now they had an 18-play, 99-yard drive, and they just wear you out. It was 14-7, and our defense coach, Shiano, and the defensive staff did a great job. And obviously the players, Tough Lauren came in and did a heck of a job. And then finally, just a thought on JT is I've known about the Big Ten Conference for probably 40-some years, and of all the great players that have ever played here, to say you're the #1 touchdown maker in the history of the Big Ten Conference, that's awesome. And that's something that's going to be a hard one to break because he's got a lot of games left. So much credit to him, and I appreciate him. So I'll answer any questions for you.
Front row right, Bill.
Urban, can you describe how difficult this last week was for you, and how much of a necessity having a game like this was psychologically?
Yeah, losing's awful, and it was the typical. It's not the first time. I hope it's the last time, but you know, sometimes those things happen. You work really hard not to allow it to happen, and you go through the discomfort of being crushed to extremely angry, and self-reflection. What could you have done better? And then you have to somehow pull yourself off the canvas and get going. And how do you do that? You do that in your faith, your family, and your friends, and your teammates. And that's why a lot of us have very narrow circles, and mine are just what I mentioned, and most importantly, our players. So they did a good job. A guy like Billy Price is a strong guy, and he picks us right off the canvas, and let's go. So,
second row wide left, Tony.
Urban, you when Tough Borland came in, was that a performance issue on Chris Worley's part?
No, he has a little sprained foot, and Tough played fantastic.
Do you think that's a position that becomes a competition more so now?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, Worley's a leader, but you know, anybody that plays well gets an opportunity.
Front row right, Austin.
Urban, this wasn't the first time this week that JT's had some adversity or had people question him. He's always seemed to bounce back traditionally throughout his career. What is it about him that allows him to make those plays, make those games come back? And did you have any conversations, notice anything different with him throughout this week?
The heart of a lion, you know, it's a heart this big, and the toughness is one of the toughest players I've ever been around. So that's pretty good characteristics to have with a guy touching the ball every snap.
Back row left, Ari.
Urban, JT was 1 touchdown away from that record. How aware are you during games about how close a player is to breaking a record like that? And do you think about that? Do you keep him in longer? And, you know, just how? No,
I wasn't aware of that one until I saw it pop up on the screen. Sometimes you will, like, you know, not very often, though. Like someone will say, I remember Zeke or something, that he needs 5 more yards to, and then you start going through your mind, you know, you don't want to embarrass your opponent, you don't want to get a guy hurt. So that didn't happen this game, but it's happened before.
And front row right, Tim.
Yeah, but J.K. Dobbins, obviously, his first 2 carries in the second half, 22 and 52 yards, to get you guys some breathing room there. Just what did you see there? What have you seen of him just taking the bid here his first 3 games as a freshman?
Well, we saw it against Indiana. You know, unfortunately, we didn't get him in the space. He's a perfect tailback. You know, he's a space player that we need. And it's a shame Paris had the one called back because that was a lightning bolt, too. So we got we're getting some breakaways developed. You know, we tried to shoot it down the field a couple times. They were playing just such soft coverage, it was hard to get behind them. But J.K. and Paris, I thought, you know, they're 2 of our best playmakers right now.
And were you able to determine to hammer inside as much as anything else today?
No, you do. You know, we had a lot of outside plays too. Those plays that hit were outside plays, and then I thought Kevin Wilson and Ryan Day did a nice job mix and matching. And it's all how you play, how they're playing. You know, if they're starting to pack it in there, you get outside. And I thought you know, the RPOs were very good. That's the run pass options where a lot of those times when you see JT pulled the ball and then kick it out there and get really plus yards, you got to keep growing with that.
Front row left.
Coach Meyer, in the first quarter, JT still tended to overthrow the ball to players like Mack and McLaurin. Do you think him tying the record with Drew Brees made up for that, compensated for his overthrowing the ball at times?
Yeah, he misfires. He was 25 of 33, and I was hoping he'd be 33 for 33, I guess, but sometimes you misfire a little bit. But he, yeah, I saw what you saw. He had a couple misfires early.
Front row right over here, Clay.
How helpful to get Haskins in the game, and now will you kind of start to bring him along a little bit?
I hope so. I thought he performed well when he was in there. It was 4 for 4, and, you know, it just, I wanted to throw him more, but you just didn't want to, you know, do something silly, and, you know, so I thought he did very well when he got in there. That's his first snaps, I believe.
Special arm.
Pretty quick release, too.
And final two questions, far left, Doug.
Urban, I know obviously you guys did a good job on some of those perimeter throws and spacing them out a little bit, but sometimes it looks like if you just hand it to the tailback every play, you guys could have put up 60 if you wanted to. Do you have
just that easy, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I mean, hey, but it's more than that. Are you?
First of all, it's much more than that.
No, I know. But you did give it to J.K. on the first two times in the second half, and he went
just
2 yards, 74-yard drive.
But just give it to him every time.
Yeah. Do you know, and I asked you this during the week, but do you still have, you know you need to throw, right? I mean, even if you think you could run every time, and I know it's not that easy.
You can't run every time.
But you have to be balanced, you have to
Yeah, the reason the run's just to help you a little bit with it, not that I'm an expert, and I guess I've done this for a long time, though.
I'm an expert.
Just to clarify a few things, what makes the inside run game open up is when you start hitting all those bubble screens and a lot of the horizontal pass plays too, or eventually they're just getting in tighter and tighter. So you have to be very balanced. And I think we were very balanced today, if I remember right, like 300.
What is that?
Yeah, 316 passing and 300 or what was it, 280, 270 rushing. So that's about what we need to be. But you do have to, in the big games, you have to be balanced because they can stop the run.
But you're pretty happy with that balance. That's how you would like it to look.
Every game.
And final questions over here to the right, Steve.
Coach Shiano was down on the field today. What did you see in terms of doing that? Was that because of what Army does and you expect him to go
combination of both. He's an energy guy. He provides a lot of energy. He's knows, you know, he's coached against this offense for many, many years. I wanted him on the sideline for energy and to make adjustments, and we'll reevaluate for if he's going to stay down there.
Did somebody go up in his place?
Coach Davis went up.
Great. Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Hey.